Bill Medley was known to the world as the steady baritone behind some of the most unforgettable love songs in music history. To audiences, he appeared calm, grounded, and unshaken by time. His voice carried romance, confidence, and certainty, as if nothing in life could ever disturb that deep sound. Yet behind the curtain, Medley lived a far more complicated reality. While fans celebrated songs like You've Lost That Lovin' Feelin' and Unchained Melody, he carried private grief that never reached the microphone. His public life moved forward in applause, but his inner life was shaped by loss, fear, and endurance. For decades, he balanced two existences at once, one in the spotlight and one in silence. Music became his shelter, the one place where pain could transform into sound instead of breaking him apart. Only now does his full story reveal how much strength it took simply to keep singing. 2. A childhood shaped by music and faith, Bill Medley was born in Los Angeles in 1940 into a home where music was not a hobby but a daily language. His father played guitar and his mother sang with warmth and discipline, filling the house with melody. Church became his first stage, and hymns his earliest lessons in harmony. Long before dreams of fame appeared, music was simply part of who he was. He learned piano and guitar not to impress anyone, but to express what he felt inside. In high school, while others chased sports or weekend excitement, Medley spent hours in rehearsal rooms, shaping a voice that already sounded older than his years. These quiet beginnings built his character as much as his talent. There was no sudden discovery or dramatic breakthrough, only steady growth guided by faith, family, and routine. Those simple foundations would later carry him through both success and sorrow. 3. The birth of a legendary duo. After high school, Medley reunited with his childhood friend Bobby Hatfield, and something rare happened when their voices met. Medley's deep baritone and Hatfield's soaring tenor created a contrast that felt new and electric. Together, they formed the Righteous Brothers, a name that soon became inseparable from emotional soul music. Their early recordings drew attention in local clubs before reaching wider audiences. When they released You've Lost That Lovin' Feelin', everything changed. The song climbed to the top of the charts and entered radio history, becoming one of the most played songs of all time. Audiences did not just hear music, they felt it. Their sound was soon called blue-eyed soul, and it bridged musical worlds in a way few artists ever could. From small stages to national fame, Medley's voice had become part of America's emotional memory almost overnight. 4. Building a musical legacy success did not slow the Righteous Brothers. They followed their breakthrough with classics like Unchained Melody, Ebb Tide, and Soul and Inspiration. Their performances required no elaborate staging, only honest voices and emotional delivery. Medley was not only a singer, but also a songwriter and producer, shaping songs with careful attention to feeling rather than trends. His work extended beyond the duo as he composed and produced for other artists, leaving his mark quietly across the industry. When the group first separated in the late 1960s, Medley continued as a solo performer, recording and touring with dedication. Though solo success never matched the power of the duo, it taught him that music depended on connection, not just talent. When the Righteous Brothers reunited in the early 1980s, fans welcomed them as if they had never left, proving their songs had never truly faded. 5. A new chapter in film and television. Bill Medley's voice soon crossed into film history when he recorded The Time of My Life with Jennifer Warnes for the movie Dirty Dancing. The song became a global anthem of romance and hope, winning awards and sealing his place in pop culture forever. Though he did not appear in the film, his voice carried the story's emotional climax. Medley also made small appearances on television and in films, often playing himself and bringing his music into new spaces. These moments showed his comfort with both fame and humility. He never chased acting stardom, but allowed music to remain his main identity. Even as styles changed, his voice remained timeless. By the time he entered the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with the Righteous Brothers, his influence was already secure, not through headlines, but through songs that lived in weddings, farewells, and personal memories. Personal loss and quiet strength. Behind the success, Medley faced deep personal pain that the public rarely saw. The loss of his former wife in a tragic event shook his sense of safety and changed his life forever. He became a single father and stepped away from touring to protect his child and rebuild stability. Music stopped for a time, replaced by responsibility and reflection. For years, questions remained unanswered, leaving grief without closure. When clarity finally arrived decades later, it did not erase sorrow, but it offered peace. Medley later described truth as something that allows breathing again. From that experience, he learned that fame could not shield anyone from life's hardest moments. What sustained him was faith, family, and the belief that music could carry grief instead of silence. Every note he later sang carried that history quietly within it, even when audiences heard only love and melody. 7. Love, family, and lasting partnership. Medley's life included several marriages, each reflecting different stages of his journey. Some relationships ended quickly, shaped by the pressures of touring and emotional exhaustion. Eventually, he found lasting companionship with Paula, a woman who understood his past and accepted his scars without trying to erase them. Their marriage lasted more than 3 decades and became a place of peace after years of unrest. Together, they raised a daughter, McKenna, who inherited not only his musical gift, but also his strength. She later joined him on stage, turning performance into family legacy. His son, from his first marriage, built a life of his own, staying close without needing the spotlight. Family became Medley's anchor, reminding him that identity did not depend on applause. Even as loss returned later in life, love had already shaped him into someone capable of continuing forward. 8. Losing a musical brother. In 2003, tragedy struck again when Bobby Hatfield, Medley's lifelong musical partner, passed away suddenly while they were on tour. Medley found himself alone after decades of harmony. The loss was not just professional, but deeply personal, like losing half of his own voice. For a time, he could not sing. Music without Hatfield felt incomplete, and silence became his way of grieving. Audiences only saw the absence, not the struggle behind it. Eventually, Medley returned to the stage, not to replace his partner, but to honor what they had created together. Every performance became a tribute to friendship and shared history. Their bond had shaped an era of music, and Medley carried that memory with dignity rather than bitterness. Through this loss, he learned that music can survive even when the people who made it are no longer physically present. 9. Illness, courage, and renewal. Later in life, Medley faced a new fear when doctors discovered throat cancer. For a singer, the possibility of losing one's voice is more than illness. It feels like losing identity. Surgery was successful, but recovery brought months of uncertainty and emotional strain. Each morning, he wondered if his voice would still be there. Singing became an act of courage rather than routine. Around the same time, he lost his wife Paula after years of illness, returning him once more to solitude. Yet he refused to retreat from life. Music again became his medicine, not for fame but for survival. In his 80s, he recorded a country-inspired album shaped by reflection and gratitude rather than ambition. These songs were not about charts, but about endurance, love, and time. They showed that even late chapters can carry meaning when shaped by honesty. 10. A legacy of endurance and song today. Bill Medley's legacy is not only his famous recordings, but the life he lived behind them. He did not avoid pain, nor did he surrender to it. Instead, he transformed it into sound that comforted others without revealing its source. His voice became a bridge between sorrow and hope, between memory and survival. Even in his later years, he continues to step onto the stage, not chasing glory, but finishing a journey he began as a boy in church. What makes him unforgettable is not just musical achievement, but the quiet courage of returning to the microphone after every loss. His songs remain part of human experience, playing at moments of love, farewell, and reflection. In that way, Bill Medley did more than sing. He showed that endurance itself can become music, and that a life shaped by hardship can still leave behind beauty for the world to hold.